that I chose was called The Effectiveness of Word Solving, Integrating Morphological Problem Solving Within Comprehension Instruction for Middle School Students, which was written by Amanda Goodwin. Within this article, they did a study on the effectiveness of integrating morphological instruction with comprehensive strategy instruction. Morphological instruction is using learning activities to help students learn to read and write. So it's teaching them the root words, the prefixes, suffixes, and the grammatical inflections, so the ES and the S for plural words. Comprehension instruction is instruction that helps students become independent, strategic, and metacognitive readers who are able to develop, control, and use a variety of comprehension strategies to ensure they understand what they read. The study included 203 students, 117 from 5th grade and 86 students from 6th grade from 4 urban schools. All students received 4 30-minute guided reading instruction sessions involving comprehension strategy instruction, as well as learning about morphological problems. The 4 instructional sessions were spread either across 2 or 4 weeks with intensity determined by the school preference. In most of the cases, the sessions and the intervention session and the control session were fit within a single instructional period, and the order, whether the intervention session or the control session came first, it was chosen randomly. Where these small groups were placed, it was all around the school as long as it was quiet. So it could have been taking place in a corner in the classroom that was a quiet spot. It could have been in the school library, an empty classroom, or the auditorium, as long as there wasn't a whole lot of sound, like in the cafeteria or the corner or something. It had to be quiet for the students to be able to focus and concentrate on the lesson. The participants of this study were tested at the beginning of the study and at the end of the study by trained researchers, and in this order they were tested on their measurement of vocabulary, their reading comprehension, their word reading fluency, and their morphological awareness. In the testing, the scoring, the assessments were scored by researchers trained in that particular assessment. So they had the 4 separate tests. They had the measures of vocabulary, the reading comprehension, the word reading fluency, and the morphological awareness. And they assessed these sessions with the combined students at the different intervention groups. So the 4 separate groups, they had them accumulate around the 1 to 2 weeks of their instruction. The results after the post-test at the very end of the study suggested the intervention versus the comparison instruction was moderately more effective. They're effective at supporting the multiple choice and the self-perceived vocabulary knowledge, and also the morphological awareness. There really weren't any significant differences that were noted for all of the other literacy outcomes. So the reading comprehension and the word reading fluency, there really wasn't any significant differences. The interactions between the intervention status and the pretest scores for the self-perceived vocabulary knowledge and the generation of morphologically related words, they indicated that while the intervention was effective for all of the students, it was particularly helpful for the readers with the lower pretest scores. So the ones that starting at the beginning, they weren't as average as the others. They were a little bit lower than the others. They came out with the most improvement at the end. So the interaction between the language background and the total number of morphologically related words generated suggested that the intervention was particularly supportive of the language minority youth. So these tests and the way that the study was so these 203 students from these 4 urban schools, their testing after the whole study has finished shows that they benefited significantly from the beginning. By incorporating the morphological instruction in with the comprehension strategy instruction, they benefited significantly from this. They said that the scores and the way that they improved, it showed some sort of benefit to both the lower scoring students as well as the average scoring students. So in conclusion, teaching these two separate lessons at the same time versus splitting them up. So while teaching how to break down these paragraphs or these sentences, have them break it down to the smaller parts, doing the root word and the prefixes and suffixes, as well as breaking down the sentence as a whole, doing each different part of each word. I think that one, it'll go by a lot faster, and two, it's doing the same thing but at a different level versus the whole, it's doing a smaller part of the whole. So doing these two separate instructions, I think the study proved that it may just work.